Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 18th of January. So, looking at the fundamentals due out today, well, there isn't that many. In fact, we've got US bank holiday coming through. Well, that'll affect the markets more likely this afternoon, Martin Luther King Day. Aside of that, we've got Bank of England's Governor Bailey speaking at 1:30. He's due to speak about a range of climate issues. So I can't see that really affecting the pound too much. But you never know. So let's have a look at the technicals. I'm starting off with the euro dollar here. As you can see, it's finally worked its way back to that daily 50. Is it going to get a bounce from here? Well, we'll have to wait this morning a little bit. We have got some draws above, as in the weekly pivot sitting above there at 120, 125. So if we start seeing it move up this morning, perhaps that would be a target. The daily pivot also is above at 120, 104. So there's a couple of targets to the upside if this turns around. But at the moment it really does look like I'd rather wait and be on the sell side of it, this market. Perhaps this, coming back to the dailies here, we may get a bit more of a bounce off that 50. In fact, I'm just going to quickly look straight through at the dollar index here. And the dollar index is short of its 50 at the moment. So the very tightly correlated couple of things I'm looking at here, because the euro is such a high proportion of the dollar index. But either way, sometimes you'll just see it happen on the dollar index or the euro first. The euro may be enough, but if not, I will be watching this dollar index. It'll be the first test of that 50 MA there, so I'll be flicking between the two there. But if that starts hitting, well, that might see the reversal. How strong a reversal? Well, I'm not convinced that very strong at the moment. So let's have a look at the pound. The pound now, let's put a bearish pivot swing in there over into Friday, looking quite softish, although finding some near-term support off its daily 21. So again, we've got a support point or moving average where it may find some support. Looking at it through the time frames, well, it's not showing too much at all. In fact, where's the coming back to the weekly? It's all over its weekly pivot at the moment. It does look a bit softish, but trying to put a bit more of a bounce in. And again, I think with this, I'll be more inclined to wait to see if we get a bounce and look for the short side on it. It's either markets, both this euro and the pound at the moment, do look softer in this bigger picture, and yes, they've got some potential bounce points here, but we might just see an opportunity to sell in. Looking at the dollar yen then, dollar yen consolidated on the dailies here. It really hasn't done too much in terms of range. It's looking quite slow there, and there's the consolidation now. Originally, also I come back to the dailies here. So originally here, well, it's just really around its mean, and do I see it changing too much? Not really. Technically, it's just sort of sat there. Often when you get a consolidation around a high, it will continue, but this is sort of somewhat almost middling. It's pulling back here, and at the moment, if anything, looks like, well, it may just be getting a bit more downward movement. We're seeing this sort of risk off factor, and generally money runs, when we see risk off, money runs into the yen as well as the US dollar. Well, we're not seeing that much of it running into the yen. It's staying pretty flat overall. Coming down the time frames, quite choppy as I'm looking at this, and just untradeable for me at this stage, so I'll leave that. Aussie dollar, another of the currencies looking a bit soft there with the price action it is set up on the dailies, and no support at the moment, unlike the pound and the euro. And you're just watching this come. It has got potential for continuation here, not too far off these prior lows here, which in the past we've seen a bounce off the body sort of level there previously at 76.70. we might get a bounce this morning a bit earlier. If we do, again, it may be worthwhile looking to be shorting towards those 4-hour pivots. Maybe daily pivots bang on the 4-hourly here, so 77.24. So we've got the pivots bang over each other. So that could be a solid place of selling if it gets back that way. Canadian dollar double bottomed on Thursday. Friday we saw a bit of a bounce coming off that. Was some divergence across there. Looks like it may still have some more legs. It's air kissed its weekly pivot. It's just sort of pushed on through that little bit, and at the moment, well, pushing up. There's some divergence across the highs, probably a bit of double divergence across these highs on the shorter time frame here. So again, retracements may be the safest bet on that if you're looking to trade the Canadian dollar. Finally, New Zealand dollar. Just look at this on the short time frame because it's very similar to the Aussie there. So solid sell-off again. Got daily, weekly pivots sitting there above. There's a bit of double divergence across here, but my preference really at this stage is to be a bit of a dollar bull rather than looking to trade these back necessarily. We'll see. There may be a chance on the shorter time frames to chip into some pivot retracements, but I'll watch how they go this morning. So looking at the forward then, S&Ps still in this bullish run. However, Friday saw a sell-off and put us a bit of a weak signal. Again, it's back to a key moving average here, but consolidating. It's not really taking a solid bounce off that. In fact, it looks like there was an earlier bounce there on Friday. It's pulled back. It's just take a step back here. Yeah, it's Friday. It's the first time it contacted that 21. May have already worked off its bounce from that 21, but it does have the weekly pivot above. Do I really want to be a seller onto this market? Not really. It's a weird situation where we've seen this consolidation and movement. Would have expected with the extra spending in the States it would have pushed the S&Ps up and been very bullish. Okay, that was been probably largely priced in over recent months, and it may be on the fact that has been sold, but I'm not convinced at the moment. We'll see. At the moment, maybe this daily and weekly pivot later on will give an opportunity for a bit of a long, as I say, it's going against the grain a little bit to what I'm saying with the other markets. I'd rather see further downside, but I'm just not trusting these S&Ps. Okay, or I wouldn't be keen on selling them. Gold. So looking at gold here, it's put in a bit of a divergence here. I should measure on the RSI. Ooh, actually not really, not much actually. It looks like the most recent is pitched off there, but works out into its monthly S1. Trying back in here. Now when you start coming down this time frame, actually all it's done is it's broken out the wedge I was talking about last week. It's done pretty much the size of that wedge to the downside. It may have worked off most of its downward move from that. Often when you get a wedge like this, you measure the wedge and you can apply that to the breakout area, and that gives us a rough target. And well, that rough target's probably been not far off of being hit. Now it's whether or not it can make any movement from where it is at the moment, but it's not looking bullish as it sits there. If anything, it might yet set up another bearish move to the downside. So gold not looking particularly good at the moment. Oil, well, so I see. Oil then pitched up on Friday, but then only to sell off, and bearish engulfing bar, really looking a bit on the softer side. I'm still not convinced with oil prices rising overall. I know there's a lot of optimism running into this year on what will happen when things pick up, but there's also a lot of oil sloshing around out there. But there we are, and plenty of production available. So But say so and but there is this sort of holding point that traders, well, say traders, producers want it to sit around at least the $50 area. They'll be happy where it is there, but it does look a bit soft on this market as looking down here, and we could just see further downside. The only thing, if you was looking to sell into it, may be if it pulls back into the weekly and daily pivot, give a better opportunity. Otherwise, maybe this afternoon, if it is starting to move up, I would watch this carefully where they become potential targets. Right, and finally, just looking, just bring, for those that can see it, sorry if you're on looking elsewhere, but the Bitcoin once again got a sell-off on Saturday, Sunday there, pitching up again this morning slightly, but it's still consolidated where it is. I'll just bring the futures into play here. It misses out the weekend, but just bring this in a bit. So just trying to work its way up, but at the moment on this picture, certainly sort of giving this sort of bearish sort of look for now on this smaller time frames, a bit of a bearish look. But as we know with Bitcoin, it can take off and can take off quite quickly. So a bit of a bearish move there on this. This is okay. It's on a shorter time frame, but as I say, the weekend there coming in, a couple of sell-off days. As I said last Monday, normally when we used to see that, we'd then get a bounce as the bigger money started coming back into the markets. Well, we didn't really get that last week. We just saw Tuesday, Wednesday of last week sell off. Then we got the bounce Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday yet another little sell off. But as I've said for many a time, if you were in this market, it's for the longer time, and it still hasn't really broken anything significant from that point of view. It's just consolidating around its new higher level, higher tier, and it really would need to build on that some more. There you go. I'll finish off there. I wish you a great day. Just checking, no questions over there. That's cool. Okay, catch you tomorrow morning. Take care. Bye for now.